FM, welcome to Global Pulse News, where we don't just report the news, we break it down the Malawian way, sharp, straight to the point, and with that little spice of attitude that Parliament itself sometimes can't handle. And today, my friend, we are diving deep into the full evening session of the Parliament of Malawi on 13th November 2025, a session that had more fire, more drama, and more hidden meanings than a whole season of telenovela ya Gundilandi. Now buckle up nicely, Bambu and Mai, because this ain't your quiet, gentle news recap. No. This one moves with speed, with humor, and with that Malawian English flavor that says, my guy, listen carefully. Chintuichi, chinari job, sir. We've cooked up 6 heavy facts, each one packed with 500 full words, each one hitting harder than the speaker's gavel on a noisy chamber. Let's roll. On this particular evening of 13 November 2025, Parliament entered the chamber with the kind of energy you only see when people know the whole nation is watching them on live TV, The session was not just a regular sitting. It had that pressure cooker feel, that vibe where every MP suddenly remembers that their constituency might finally be paying attention. The speaker opened the floor with his usual stern fatherly presence, telling members to sit down, keep order, and avoid walking in front of the speaking MP, something Malarians know is harder for some MPs than climbing Molanje Mountain itself. But the mood was sharp and focused, like everyone had come prepared for serious business. One of the earliest tensions in the room came from MPs referencing districts that were left out of crucial reports, specifically the infamous MVAC-related areas where hunger and drought had struck hard. You could hear the frustration in their speeches, that real Malawian tone of, "Aye, this is not making sense, Bwanji." When one MP rose to ask if it was in order for Parliament to keep quiet after the president finally extended relief to neglected northern and central districts, the chamber murmured in agreement. This wasn't just politics. It was MPs speaking on behalf of real people who had been crying for help. The message was simple. When government finally listens, you don't just clap softly, you stand up and appreciate. The speaker himself acknowledged it, promising that the Minister of Agriculture or the Leader of the House would address the matter officially. That response set the tone for the entire session. Parliament was ready to push, ready to hold government accountable, but also ready to show gratitude when action was taken. That balance, that mix of confrontation and cooperation is something uniquely Malawian, We don't fight dirty. We fight loudly, then we thank you loudly too. Then came the maiden speeches, and let me tell you, these were not ordinary introductions. One MP from Palombe South stood to congratulate not only the speaker, but also the president, calling him father and daddy, with that Malawian confidence that turns Parliament into a family gathering where uncles and aunties cheer for their favorite cousin. The crowd was half laughing, half agreeing, because in Malawi, politics is not just leadership. It is personal identity, family ties, and emotional loyalty. But beneath all the humor, the MP made serious pressing points. Palombe South lacked proper roads, a functioning hospital, and support for victims of Cyclone Freddy. She pushed for road rehabilitation, mineral resource management, and expansion of the constituency health post. These were emotional pleas, rooted in real suffering. And Parliament listened. You could feel the heart behind every sentence. Overall, Fact 1 reveals a parliament that is alive, emotional, deeply human, and fully aware that Malawians are tired of empty talk. And if you thought that was heated, my friend, wait until you hear what came next, because Fact 2 enters like hot nzima straight from the pot. Fact 2 begins with another maiden speech from the newly elected female MP of Masad constituency. And let me tell you, she did not come to parliament to whisper or greet politely. No, this one arrived like a storm from Neno, carrying emotion, gratitude, and a sharp tongue honed by years of community struggle. She stood with deep humility, thanking her voters, her traditional leaders, even her late mother who passed during the campaign period. The chamber felt the weight of her words. This was not politics, this was a woman telling her life story in front of the whole nation. But she quickly moved from emotion to business. She described how her constituency once thrived in banana production, feeding the nation with pride until banana banshee top disease wiped out the crop like a silent thief in the night. The pain in her voice was real, because in Malawi, losing a crop is not just losing food, it is losing income, dignity, and livelihood. She emphasized that her people now rely on imported bananas from Tanzania and Mozambique, which is embarrassing for a country that once boasted some of the best bananas in the region. She then hammered the issue of infrastructure. And this one hurt. A crucial bridge at Koma becomes impossible every rainy season, leaving students stranded and communities cut off like an island. She pleaded for the Ministry of Transport to treat it as a priority, not a suggestion. She also pointed out dangerous gullies threatening to swallow entire villages. The imagery was powerful, a constituency literally being eaten by the earth under the watch of previous governments. Her speech also praised the president for developmental efforts like the Kroma-Bangula Road and extension of Eskom power lines, which brought hope. But she didn't stop there. She demanded more transformers, more connections, more youth empowerment, more health facilities, and more technical colleges. This was a woman who knew her constituency like the back of her hand, and she was unafraid to ask for everything they desperately needed. Symbolically, her speech represented the new Malawi, young leaders, especially women, entering parliament with fire, precision, and emotional intelligence. She closes with a political jab, declaring that the previous government had given Masad nothing meaningful in 5 years. She said the people were tired of promises that never become reality. And this, she insisted, is why they voted the way they did in the recent elections. In short, Fact 2 is loaded with raw emotion, accountability, strong advocacy, and national reflection. Now hold on, because Fact 3 steps in with even more fire, and this time the opposition benches start talking like they've been waiting all year for this moment. Fact 3 shifted the spotlight to a member from the Malawi Congress Party, delivering a speech that was equal parts respectful, analytical, and sharply political. Unlike the emotional tone from earlier speakers, this MP took a calmer but very pointed approach, thanking God, thanking the party, thanking the people, but also sharpening his tools for a thorough examination of government promises. He congratulated the president, speaker, government ministers, and fellow MPs with the politeness of a well-trained diplomat. But once the formalities ended, this man went straight into the heart of the matter. He said Malawi was in economic distress, inflation at 28.2%, cost of living skyrocketing, forex shortages, and yes, few accused returning like old ghosts refusing to leave. His tone was firm but respectful, the kind of Malawian tone that says, "My brother, let's speak truth while still shaking hands." He argued that although the president outlined good policies in his State of the Nation address, the real test would be implementation. He reminded the House that free education means nothing without classrooms, trained teachers, enough desks, and timely pay. He stressed that rural students in his area walk long distances to secondary schools, risking dropouts simply because education is physically too far away. His demands were practical: build more schools in Kunga, Kasu, and surrounding regions. Then he tackled the health sector, and as usual, it wasn't a pretty picture. He demanded urgent completion of stalled health centers like Dema, which had been under construction for years. He called the healthcare system overwhelmed, understaffed,
and undersupplied. This was not drama, it was real life. Malawians suffer when hospitals run out of medicine. Malawians suffer when clinics lie half-built for a decade. His tone was calm, but the message was explosive. Water issues came next. Only 10 kilometers from Lake Malawi, yet people in Langa Trading Center can go weeks without water. He said this cannot be, and honestly, he is right. How can a country with one of the largest freshwater lakes still struggle with clean water access? Then came agriculture. He welcomed the reformed fertilizer subsidy program, but warned that some families in his constituency had been missing out for years. He accused past systems of favoritism and inefficiency. For food security, he requested an ADMAC depot at Kasananzi to stabilize maize availability and protect farmers. In essence, his entire speech was an audit, a calm, professional, but unflinching audit of Malawi's current systems. And you think this was intense? Just wait, because in part 2, facts 4, 5, and 6 bring even more heat, more drama, and more truth than Parliament could handle in one sitting.
Fact 4 shifts us deeper into the chamber, where another powerful voice rose, this time from the Member of Parliament representing a region where infrastructure challenges have become so normal that people almost stopped complaining. Almost. But on this day, inside this session, the MP made sure no one forgot what their people are going through. He began with the usual formal gratitude, thanking God, the Speaker, the President, his party, and the people who voted him in. But once he cleared the courtesy lane, he moved straight into the burning issues like a man on a mission. He laid bare the reality of infrastructure collapse in his constituency. The road networks were so broken that traveling from village to trading center felt like moving through a war zone of potholes, mud traps, and collapsed bridges. He described how farmers could not transport their produce, how students arrived late to school drenched in mud, and how expectant mothers struggled to reach health centers because the roads had turned into rivers or trenches. He narrated it with that Malawian pen, that tone we know too well, where suffering is spoken calmly, but the weight behind it is heavy, heavy. One of the key highlights of his speech was his plea for the rehabilitation of the Kasindi-Zimba road, which has deteriorated to the point where even bicycles struggle to pass. He explained that this road is not just a path, it is an economic lifeline linking smallholder farmers to traders, businesses, and service providers. Without it, the entire economy of the region slows down like a phone with 2% battery. You know it's dying, but you're just watching helplessly. The MP's voice carried a deep urgency. Mr. Speaker, sir, we cannot talk development when the roads are literally falling apart. You could feel the whole House recognizing that infrastructure is not just political talk, it is survival. He then addressed the CDF, the Constituency Development Fund, celebrating the increase to 5 billion kwacha, but he stressed a crucial point. This money must be used responsibly. He warned against misuse and called for transparent and community-driven planning. Let every kwacha be traced, he said, reminding the House that corruption is a knife that cuts the poor first. The tone was firm, with that Malawian seriousness that says, aye, this issue is not a joke. He championed the 100 million kwacha loans for youth and women, describing them as life-changing. Young people in his constituency have skills, carpentry, welding, tailoring, but no capital. Women run small businesses from their homes, selling vegetables, snacks, and clothes, but they lack the resources to grow. The MP spoke passionately about empowerment, saying when a woman grows her business, she feeds the whole village. That line alone had Parliament nodding. He ended by voicing hope that the new government will deliver, hope that promises will become action, and hope that with unity, Malawi can rise again. Fact 4 captures the heart of rural struggle: infrastructure, accountability, empowerment, and faith in leadership. But don't breathe yet, because Fact 5 comes marching in with even stronger fire, especially on hunger, disaster relief, and agricultural survival.
Fact 5 turns the spotlight on one of the most emotional subjects in Malawi: hunger and food security. When this MP stood up, the chamber quieted Because hunger in Malawi is not a political topic, it is a lived reality. The MP spoke with the pain of someone who has watched mothers go to bed without eating so their children can have a small portion of nsima. He spoke of farmers whose maize died in the field due to droughts, dry spells, and unpredictable weather patterns. His voice trembled, but it carried strength, that kind of Malawian strength that grows out of suffering. He began by supporting the president's move to declare a state of disaster in 11 districts, saying it was the right thing to do. But then he turned the issue around sharply. Mr. Speaker said, "My constituency is also suffering. Our people face hunger every day. The dry spells hit us equally hard. We cannot be left out of relief efforts." It was a powerful moment. He wasn't attacking the government. He was pleading for his people, the poorest, the vulnerable, the forgotten. He painted a picture of how hunger grips a community. Markets with no affordable maize, ad-marked depots empty or too far to reach, farmers selling livestock at cheap prices just to survive, children walking to school without breakfast, fainting by noon. It was a chilling, emotional description, the kind that shakes the nation awake. "We need relief maize," he repeated. "We need it now, not later." Then he moved on to the Farm Input Subsidy Program, welcoming its reintroduction but expressing fear, the fear shared by many Malawians that the program might fail again if corruption sneaks in through the back door. He warned those involved in distributing fertilizer. "Marching Northeast will not tolerate any stealing. If you come to play games, you will be exposed." This line hit the chamber with electric energy. You could practically feel MPs straightening in their seats. He highlighted that many farmers in his constituency live near perennial rivers, like Nzizi, Leone, and Piri, which could be used for irrigation, yet the potential remains untapped. "We need irrigation farming," he said. "We cannot continue depending on rain alone. Rain is unreliable, but rivers do not run away." This was not just a complaint. It was a strategic vision, a call for Malawi to modernize agriculture. He also implored the Ministry of Health to address drug shortages, reminding them that 2 health facilities in his area, Nonjambi and Kawinga, were overwhelmed and under-resourced. The MP demanded more medicines, more staff, more infrastructure, and new clinics for far-off areas like Lisaka, Mitia, and Shimila. He ended with a powerful declaration that left the House buzzing. "Mr. Speaker said, Malawi must rise from hunger. We must build a nation that feeds itself." Fact 5 is an emotional, painful, but necessary reality check for Malawi's leadership. And now, my friend, prepare yourself, because Fact 6 closes this chapter with a thunderous message about leadership, democracy, and Malawi's future. Malawi, truth never sleeps. You can silence me, but not the truth. Fact 6 brings us to one of the most spiritually charged and politically profound speeches of the entire session. The MP from Machinga Northeast stood opened with a prayer and delivered a speech so layered with emotion, truth, and conviction that even the speaker had to calm the room multiple times. His words did not just fill the chamber, they carried the weight of a nation's pain. He began by thanking Allah and acknowledging the deep trust his people placed in him as an independent candidate. He then congratulated the president, but immediately followed it with a powerful prayer. "Ya Allah, give him wisdom and strength to lead this nation." You could feel the chamber shift. This was not politics, this was a plea for national healing. He painted a picture of Malawi on the brink of collapse. Hunger, inflation, corruption, drug shortages, broken roads, and hopeless youth. He said it plainly. Malawi was dying. His tone was not angry, it was wounded. And yet beneath the pain was a firm hope that this new era of leadership must bring transformation. He declared hunger the biggest emergency facing Malawi. People cannot focus on development when they are starving. He said, "Let us first help our people to eat." It was a timeless truth. He demanded fairness in farm input distribution and warned distributors not to attempt the same corruption seen in past years. "If you try these tricks again, you will meet resistance," he said boldly. On infrastructure, he described his constituency like a map of suffering: bridges washed away, roads cut off, villages isolated after rains, and children unable to attend school, pregnant women walking dangerous distances for health care. He declared a state of disaster on the road network in his area. It was dramatic, but justified. People are truly suffering. He championed the CDF, calling it a game changer, but emphasized the need for accountability. With effective management of this fund, we can achieve some of the sustainable development goals. Strong words, grounded in reality. He celebrated 100 million kwacha for youth loans and another 100 million for women empowerment. He listed the hard-working communities, Tomu, Chiwalo, Papa, and others, and said they sent him to parliament with one mission: create an environment where we can prosper. He closed with a powerful statement, quoting the president, "Let us put national interests above personal gain." But then he turned the line back on the House, warning them, the evil that happened before must not happen again. His final message was thunderous: Malawians have suffered enough. Let the story of Malawi change. Let this be the era where our people rise. Fact 6 ends the session with a deep spiritual power and national cry for responsible leadership. And with that, Bambo and Mai, we wrap up the 6 biggest hits from Malawi's parliament. But stay here, because the call to action is coming in hot. My family. If you've reached this point, you already know this was not an ordinary parliamentary session. Malawi is speaking, MPs are pushing, and the nation is watching. So make sure you stay updated the Malawian way, loud, sharp, and fully informed. Hit like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell for @Global Pulse News, where your voice matters and your views shape our next stories. And don't forget, we grow as a family. Show love to our sister channels at Sparkling Kids, fun learning and entertainment for the little ones, and at Raima Fatima, creativity, stories, and inspiration. Let's grow together, Malawi. Tikare banjali modzi.